Is there ever a time where you should leave certain jobs off your resume? I was at a company for a year and a half, and my manager and I did not have a good relationship, and I don't feel like I grew at all in my time there. Do I leave it off my resume? If not, how do I explain this job without being negative? Okay, you do not leave it off your resume. If you worked someplace, someone can run a report that says you worked from such and such, you worked at such and such company for such and such days. Leaving that off your resume is an omission. It's kind of a lie. Like, do not leave the job. Even if it's the shittiest job, you hated the job, you're ashamed of the job, you did not learn anything at the job was stupid, the company is not cool, or it isn't reputable. Keep it on your resume. So make sure your resume is complete and fulsome. It has every place you worked. The second thing is your future boss and your future company doesn't really want to hear the negative stuff about your past. What they are interested in is, what did you do? What did you learn? Why did you go there? And why did you leave? And I would be able to answer those 4 things about every company you've worked for, even the crappy ones. And the way you talk about a job that you frankly hated, and let's be honest, I've had jobs that I've hated, everybody's had jobs that they've hated, is, hey, I went to this company because I was hoping to do blank, and I was really excited about blank, and I was eager to get into blank. Like, share a positive, forward-looking, optimistic reason why you took that job. Then you could say, at this job, I was really psyched. I got to do blank, blank, and blank. Say 3 positive things that you did, or got exposed to, or learned, or tried, or whatever. And then say, I also really learned a lot about the environment that I work best in, the type of manager that I am most excited about working for, and turn all the negatives about your bad relationship with your manager into a positive and a criteria that you're looking for in a future manager. Because the worst thing is, you don't want to take this next job and work for a manager like that old job. So that's how I would manage that. What advice would you give to someone who wants to stand out during a virtual interview? A company is holding a Zoom interview for multiple candidates at the same time, and I'd love any input you could recommend that may help me stand out to the employer. I'm used to face-to-face interviews as opposed to virtual ones, so any advice is appreciated. This is kind of cutthroat. I mean, who interviews multiple people in a Zoom call at one time? Like, I think that's called like Barstool Idol. So that's kind of a cutthroat, weird way to interview people. What I would say is the following, is like, have a big smile, don't have anything in your teeth, pay attention to your background. Make your background bright, make it interesting, make sure the camera is centered on you, like art direct your Zoom call. Make sure that in all the windows of people, your window stands out. So maybe it's the color of the background wall, or maybe if you have a lot of flair and you like to wear interesting outfits, there's some flair. I wouldn't get too like comedy about it or too ridiculous about it, but do make sure your Zoom looks good. There's something memorable in it. It shows character, it shows personality, it shows who you are. Make sure you've got a big smile, you have high energy. Don't be too far away from the screen, but don't also be too close to the screen. I tend to get too close to the screen because I just want to get closer to people. And then when it's your time to speak, be super succinct, be super positive. Don't be too high energy where someone's like, oh my God, there's like a golden retriever puppy on this call. But do be high energy in a way that gives the interviewer an instant impression of you. And then the background will be like, oh, that's that girl with the yellow background. Or that's that girl in the striped shirt. Like, make yourself memorable and then have something great to say. I just finished my performance review. We typically talk about raises at the end of the performance review conversation. It didn't get brought up and we were already over on time, so I didn't get to bring up asking for a raise or explaining why I have earned one. How do you go about getting to have that conversation with leadership? How do I build up the confidence to initiate that? You go put 30 minutes on your boss's calendar and you're like, we didn't get to finish my review. And I'd love to talk about the future. Don't be bitchy about it, but be firm about it, which is, so sorry we ran out of time. I'd really like 15 minutes more of your time, or 30 minutes more if you think you need it. And I would like to have a conversation about my future, or the future. Say the future. I'd love to have a conversation about the future. And then when you get into that conversation, be prepared. I hope you were prepared in your review. Here's everything I've done this year. Here's everything I've learned this year. Here's all the initiative I've shown this year. Here's everything I've taken on. And then most importantly, here's everything I'm excited to do in the year ahead. Start with that, and then have a conversation of what's your assessment of how I'm performing? What's your assessment of raise and bonus potential? What does that look like for the company this year? Ask questions about context. Are people getting raises? Are people getting bonuses? Are the bonuses bigger or smaller than last year? Did the company meet their goals? How does that translate into the type of money you would make or the type of raise that you would get? Have that conversation and then say, I'd like to understand your feedback around my performance this past year, as well as what I should be expecting for a raise and or a bonus. And that's a way to set up the conversation where you don't have to make it awkward and you're asking for money, but you can make it authoritative in everything that you're doing. And you can have a really important conversation about you investing in the company and the company investing in you in the future.